everyone, it's Julianne here and welcome back to the ScrapbookPal channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this slimline card using some Pinkfresh Studio products, and that includes the brand new Enchanting Meadows Stencil and die set. The Enchanting Meadows Stencil set is a 5-piece stencil set that is meant to layer each stencil in order to create this cluster of leaves and flowers. Now, to start out my card today, I did use the coordinating die set first in order to cut out some Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I've just placed that die cut piece back inside of the negative piece, temporarily adhering them together using some washi tape on the back of that cardstock, and that's just going to make it easier for me to stencil each layer. Now I'll start off with the first layer by lining it up on that die cut piece, and then I'm going to start ink blending with Rustic Wilderness Distress ink. Once I have that first layer all ink blended, I'll then remove that stencil and line up the second layer of the die cut, and I'll also be ink blending that layer with the same Rustic Wilderness. Now the third layer I'll be ink blending with Picked Raspberry. That's the layer that has the bigger flowers. The fourth layer, which is the smaller flowers, I'll be ink blending those with Mustard Seed. Once I get each one of those ink blended, I'll then be lining up the last and final layer, which is stencil number 5, and I'll be lining that up back again with that die cut piece, and then I'll be ink blending those final leaves with that Rustic Wilderness one last time. Once I'm done with all my ink blending, I'll then peel back that stencil in order to reveal what it looks like once all of the layers are ink blended together. Now off camera, I used the Pinkfresh Studio Slim Stitch Scalloped Rectangles in order to die cut out some more of that Bristol Smooth cardstock. And again, I've just placed that die cut piece back inside of the negative piece, so that way it's easier for me to ink blend those frames. Since this is going to be part of my background, I really wanted to have an additional pop of color, so I'm going to be ink blending those frames using Cracked Pistachio. I really thought that this color would look really nice along with that Picked Raspberry that I used in the flowers. So I'm just going to be ink blending that entire slimline frame. Once I have it all covered, I really felt as though I wanted that color to just be slightly darker, so I am then going to be coming in with some Lucky Clover as well, and I'll just be ink blending both of those frames until they're completely covered. I'm now going to start working on my sentiment. Now for that, I've pulled out a sentiment from the Pearfect sentiment stamp set from Honeybee Stamps, and I've placed that sentiment inside of my Misty, and I'm going to be stamping that down onto some black cardstock using some Versamark ink. Now before I did any stamping, I did add some anti-static powder to that cardstock, and that's just going to ensure that when I add the embossing powder, that powder is only going to stick where the ink is. So once I've stamped that sentiment a couple of times, just to make sure that I have a nice solid impression, I'm then going to be adding some Gina K Fine White Embossing Powder over my sentiment, and I'll just tap off any excess, and then I'll be heat setting that using my heat tool. For my background, I used the Pinkfresh Studio Slim Stitches die set in order to die cut out some white cardstock. This die cuts your cardstock to slimline size, while also giving a really nice texture and pattern to your cardstock as well. I'm going to be adding some liquid adhesive to the back of that scallop frame from earlier, and I'll be adhering that down to my background panel, centering that frame on top of that panel. Once that's all adhered, I'm then going to be adhering the Enchanting Meadows die cut piece from earlier as well, and I'll just be adhering that down with some more liquid adhesive down to that background. Now, in order to give my card some dimension, I did end up running that Enchanting Meadows die cut a couple of times through my die cutting machine with white cardstock, and I've adhered all of those layers together in order to have that raised up on my background panel. Now for my sentiment, I've added some foam adhesive to the area that will be hanging off the bottom of the Meadows die cut, And I'll add liquid adhesive to the rest of that sentiment, and then I'll be adhering that down to my card. Now finally, to finish off my card for today, I'm going to be scattering a few silver confetti mix sequins throughout my card. And once I have each one of those adhered, that's going to complete my slimline card using the few Pinkfresh Studio products. I hope that this video has inspired you all to give layering stencils a try. Now if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below, as well as subscribe to the ScrapbookPal channel for even more card making videos. Now, a list of supplies that I've used in this video will all be listed down below in the description box. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time, and happy crafting!